Hello, we're speaking from the Mansfield Ceramics Gallery here in Darlinghurst in inner city Sydney, where we're about to open a show that has travelled from the Sokyo Gallery in Kyoto in Japan, and it's been organised by their curator Yoshika Yajima, who's travelled the work of 8 artists here to Sydney. First of all, the show was at our international festival in Gulgong, and now, a couple of months later, we're here in Sydney. So I'd like to introduce you to Yoshika. Yoshika, I would ask you, first of all, the choices that you made regarding the 8 artists that you've brought here to Australia.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Yoshika Yajima from Sokyo Gallery in Kyoto. And yes, in response to the question of Bernadette, so I have chosen 8 artists, 24 pieces to exhibit in this beautiful gallery space. The reason is like, I focus on the theme of blue and white, and because blue and white has been one of the very representative Japanese ceramic decorations from the past. Blue and white, the pigment has initially brought through the trading with China, operated by East Indian company by Dutch people. So I thought this is a great theme because this time I have brought 24 pieces from Japan all over the Pacific, Asian Pacific Ocean. So this is very interesting idea, I thought. So as you can see in this space, I have selected lots of blue and white pieces. And also I wanted to question what's the Japanese artist in this show. So for instance, I have selected Jun Kaneko, who is Japanese, yet he has been based in US for a long time. So my question is, what is Japanese ceramics? Is that based on the location where the artist works for? Or is that based on the nationality of the artist? And so through these questions, I hope you're gonna have another perspectives of your understanding of Japanese ceramics.
Thank you very much, Yoshika. Could we just return, you mentioned Jun Kaneko, who of course is globally highly regarded as a ceramic artist. If we could perhaps look at this one work here by Jun Kaneko, could you talk us through it?
Sure. He has worked a lot on the theme of dot, and this is one of his iconic pieces. As you can see, if you go very close to this work, you can see the dot, and this dot has a little sort of like, it's not tears, but it looks like a kind of like crying. So this is his iconic technique. And also, I could say, this piece is slightly smaller scaled pieces, and which was particularly made for Japanese housing, like Jun Kaneko, who visited to Sokyo Gallery about 3 years ago, and he spent a certain time to investigate what the Sokyo Gallery space means for him. Mm-hmm. So after studying the gallery space, he decided to make smaller scaled art pieces like this. So in this sense, this smaller scaled pieces is very special because this was created in relation to Japanese house scale, the gallery space.
Excellent. And could we just go through the names of the other 7 artists that are showing here at the gallery?
Oh, okay. So this is these works were created by Kato Tsubusa. He was born 1962, and now he's based in Gifu Prefecture, which is a very famous place for clay, not far from Tajimi. And he is using the clays produced in New Zealand. And if I pronounce correctly, these clays are called Kalium. And I thought it's a very interesting idea to bring his pieces back to the clay production place nearby. This is, Sydney is not so far from New Zealand. So again, this is very much related to the idea of relocation and identity of material and art pieces and what is Japanese ceramics, because apparently these clays are not produced in Japan, yet represented as a Japanese ceramics. So I hope you enjoy these works.
Yes.
And okay, next I go for these works. So these 2 very beautiful works were created by Fukumoto, female artist. And recently she exhibited her pieces, these very similar pieces, a stacked table looks like pieces, was exhibited in the Decorative Art Museum in Paris. as a part of Design Week. It's called D-Days. And so now she's very popular in Paris. And to some degree, for me, this stacked tea bowl looks like wok. This could come from the idea of tea ceremony.
Yes.
This is my interruption, so I'm not sure whether the artist thinks in the same way or not, because in the tea ceremony, we have a section of koicha, which means thick tea, and in which we use tea bowls by stacking. So somehow I can relate how works with tea ceremonies practice. So in that sense, this is very iconic and very Japanese in my understanding.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then down this end of the gallery.
Oh yes. So these beautiful blue porcelains, these were created by Takuro Furukawa. He is based in Kyoto and he was born 1979. And these looks, at first glance, it looks like a glass. And of course, the surface is glass.
Yes.
Yet the core part, he first of all makes a shape by porcelain. So he used a wheel to make the shape. And on the top of that, after making a shape by clay, he fired this in a very high temperature. And he put a black, sort of like mud, and it's a glaze, and he fired this again. And after that, he put platinum foil. It's very tiny seeds. He put on the surface and make a pattern. And then he fired this again. And before that, he made a shape by using bamboo stick to make this precise line.
Yes.
Because he anyhow have to refine the patterns. And he fired this once after, finishing making pattern. And later, he put glass glaze, in which he put cobalt blue pigment. So as a result, and after putting this pigment and mixing with glasses, he fired this again. And finally, this beautiful aestheticness is created. So in total, he fires 4 times.
Yes.
And it takes about 2 months. So he can't produce that much.
Mm-hmm.
So even some people want to buy his pieces. If you don't have a luck, you can't purchase his pieces.
Mm. And you're right, it really does look like glass as opposed to ceramics, doesn't it?
It
Yes,
is. It looks like a glass, yet this is mixture.
And these beautiful pots here, who are they by?
Okay, these works were created by Fukumoto, the same artist you saw at the entrance nearby. And this is slightly earlier pieces of her. And if you go close to have a look of these glaze, it looks like very much crying for some people and smiling for the other people. And I really like this subtleness, very cheerful and can go with any interiors. So in that sense, this is my favorite piece.
And in this corner, this blue and white piece down here is an iconic piece of ceramics.
Indeed, this piece is created by an artist, Harumi Nakashima. He is now teaching at Tajimi Ceramic Institute in Japan, and lots of young ceramicists study under him. And yes, apparently this is very eye-catching and very organic shape and quite unique. And I thought this is, again, very interesting piece, especially for the art students.
Absolutely,
Because Clay Galgon, as I understood, so many people who study ceramics, they come to see for having their new inspiration source. So definitely I thought this is important to include his work.
Excellent, excellent. And these works here?
Okay, so these works were made by a young artist, Kentaro Kawabata. And he works 2 different types of techniques. So one technique, as you can see, 2 of the pieces, these surface, the aestheticness is created by putting the glass into clay. So how could I explain? He put fragments of glasses into the clay and he fire all together, and as a result the color of glass is melting down. So this effect is created by melting glasses after mixing glass into clay. And this is more like another types of glaze. As you can see, he uses a lacquer technique to make this piece. And also he uses a silver glaze to create this shape. So it's slightly different kinds of works, yet I thought it's interesting to include four works all together in this table. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, look, Yoshika, thank you very much indeed
Thank
for
you
bringing
so much
these works
indeed.
to Australia. You have until the end of July to come and view these works, many of them the first time these artists have been shown in Australia. Thank you very much for your time.